This is the Mickey Miles and More podcast, your one-stop for information on Disney races, Disney vacations, Disney theme parks, and more. Now, here are your hosts for the Mickey Miles and More podcast, Michelle Scribner-McLean, Chris Eliopoulos, and Mike Scopa.
Welcome home, Milers, and welcome back to another episode of Mickey Miles and More, a podcast where three friends talk about the Disney parks, the Disney races, and whatever else comes up. I am Chris Eliopoulos, and with me, as always, is Dr. Michelle Scribner-McLean. Hiya, Michelle.
Hey, Christopher. Spring is in the air.
I'm hoping, as we're recording this, it's still bitterly cold, but I'm hoping, and by the time this comes out, we'll be dealing with warmer weather.
Hopefully.
Speaking of warm, it's the warm and lovely Dean of Disney, Mike Scopa.
Welcome, everybody. Yes, we are just looking at April right around the corner.
Yes. All right. Yep. So last week, if you remember, and if you were listening, we talked in a general sense of the magical or tragical thoughts in a general way about going for a Disney World trip. Today, we're going to go a little bit more micro. We're going to go park by park and other things. I think first we're going to start off with the Disney Springs area in general. I know you guys love that place anyway, but Michelle, what was your favorite part of going down to Disney Springs this time?
Oh, it's definitely the new Cirque Du Soleil, drawn to life. Took me a second. Mm-hmm. Drawn to life. It's not cheap, but it is very, very, I mean, if you like Cirque Du Soleil, it was my third show. So I've seen Lanuba, obviously, The Beatles Love, and Drawn to Life, and it was my second favorite. The Beatles Love is hands down my top favorite that I've seen, but it was just really they did a great job connecting to Walt Disney World and animation, and I could see it again. Chris, I texted you. I had asked if you had seen it because there was one part at the beginning that I just thought, it doesn't give anything away, but I just thought you would have loved this. It was the first of probably 6 times I cried. They start the show with little things going on about 20 minutes before, and they bring 4 or 5 kids up on the stage, and they give them markers and crayons and things like that, and they get to draw. And right when the show is starting, they put all of their, one at a time, they put their drawings up on the big screen, and all 2,000 people cheer for them. And it was it was so nice. It already got me. I'm like, that's it. But you should have seen the look on their faces. So anyway, it's a small venue. You can sit anywhere. We sat pretty close, but highly, highly recommended. Michael?
Yeah, it was. And I know a lot of people have seen Lanuba, and we were asked if we thought this was better than Lanuba, and it was like 10 to 20 times better. Like Michelle, I found that my heartstrings were being pulled. There were several moments where they really, really knew how to connect with the audience, connect with animation, connect with a little girl who is trying to deal with her father's passing and get her life together. And it was just amazing. And one of the things that's just crazy about this show is that I can't begin to tell and explain everything we saw, because it's like, well, I can't give it justice. The visuals, the athleticism, the storytelling, the technology, the visions, the music. I mean, it's just, they really did a good job. And just when you think it's time for intermission, something else happens. And it's just, probably well worth it.
Intermission.
Yeah, there isn't.
It goes straight through.
I think they do 3 shows a night, I think. But this was definitely the highlight of the trip for me. And as much as the tickets can be expensive, I think they were well worth it.
It was like I think it was like $156 a ticket.
Right.
Which I guess if you're going to a show in Boston or New York, that's not a lot.
Pretty much standard. Any other experiences at Disney Springs?
Wine Bar George.
Yep.
I just love Wine Bar George. The cheese plate. We got to see George.
Nice.
Going middle of the day, like 2 o'clock or so. Just fabulous service, fabulous wine, just all sorts of yummy things.
It's so funny. It's like we did the same thing. Like we took after each other without even realizing it. We did the same thing with Wine Bar George when we were down there, middle of the day.
Yeah. We're talking about like what's on our must-do list, and that on the rotation, and that is definitely a must-do for us every time. And do you want to say anything about Wine Bar George? Mike doesn't drink wine, but he does know George.
Yeah, you talk to him every time you go in. He said everything's going well. They seem to be weathering the COVID issue for the last 2 years, and I said, well, I almost said to him, you're on a rotation, but I think he seems to recognize us. I don't know.
Yeah, or he's just a nice guy. I don't know, but and I love kids and I teach kids. It's a nice respite from kids too. Because there aren't a lot of kids in there because it's a wine bar.
Sorry, kids.
Yeah. I think another highlight for me, and something we've done many times, we went with 2 of our friends down there. It was their first time, even though they're cast members. They've been there for 30 years. Raglan Road. So had my green on, had my Shamrock sneakers on, and found out something new. And this is only because they went with us. I had a reservation. I requested that we get seated in the main room where you can see the dancers, because you could like be in a room and could hear the music but never see the dancers. We had to wait an extra 40 minutes for our reservation, but we were right next to the stage. So that is going to be my go-to every time now. I'm gonna wait, because it is well worth it. They were really excellent, and our friends, their mouths were just open like, this is unbelievable. And awesome. I was talking to one of the dancers, because they had a big Facebook presence. If you follow Raglan Road on Facebook, they were putting out live music, and they had dancing all during the pandemic. And I said to one of the dancers, didn't I see you on Facebook? She said, oh yeah. And she said that Raglan Road requires that they not have any other jobs, and they pay for their room and board when they work there.
Wow.
Yeah. I know Mike was very impressed with all the dancers, but one in particular caught his eye.
So there are dancers on the stage, and then in the middle of the tables, there's looks like a little stairway and a little platform where one of the male dancer would do his thing. And the guy was very, very talented, energetic, and flexible. He could do a kick. He could do a kick. His leg, you can imagine this, folks. Somebody takes their leg and they keep it straight and they kick it up so that the instep of the foot touches the forehead. Think about how flexible you have to be. No, it's more
like his shin. He was like kicking himself with his shin.
Yeah.
But every time he jumped, his foot
was higher than his head.
It was unbelievable.
I remember that, and I also remember the dancer mentioning that. So we asked her, when did you start learning to dance like this? And she said, I started late in life. I was 7 years old. And I'm thinking, wow.
Whoa.
And she said something about one of the dancers started to train in the womb because her mother was an Irish step dancer. So very much another highlight to the trip.
Yeah, drinks were great. And I just have to give a shout out for probably my favorite meal for the entire trip, which was a vegetarian shepherd's pie.
Wow.
Our friend got a carnivore shepherd's pie. I got the vegetarian version. Ate every morsel of it. It was just to die for. I'm glad that's not around here, because I'm eating it every week. But so good.
I will say on our trip, the highlight of the trip, which is strange these days, is Disney Springs. The best time we had. So In your mind, was it a magical time or a tragical time?
The
Disney
most
Springs.
magical time.
It's always
Yeah,
magical
yeah.
at Disney Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just making sure.
Yeah.
Before we get into the parks, though, I did want to mention. Can you tell me which hotels you stayed at? Do you remember?
Hotels?
Hotels.
One.
You just
Beach
went to
club.
one? Okay. Because
Beach
sometimes
club,
you guys go around.
Oh,
you know,
yeah. That's like if
sometimes.
we're staying for 2 months. No, it was just a week. It was Beach Club, DVC.
How'd you feel? Was it, I know the prices are a little, well, DVCs are a
No.
little different from the regular, but
Yeah, I don't know how. Didn't you look up how much it would be if we didn't have DVC and it was like 800 a night or something like
Yeah,
that?
crazy,
It would be a deal breaker, but it was fine. It's been refurbed. It was fine. We were on the first floor, just a few steps away from the little lobby there. I don't know, Chris, if you know the DVC area. The only drawback was that it was right across from a smoking area, and we do like to sit outside. So we had been given a bottle of champagne by some friends who were outside enjoying it, and
the smokers
to come back in.
So you
But
just sit down.
yeah, the only weird time I've had DVC there since 2003. You may have heard about the great rains that came.
Yeah.
But we were very lucky. Where were we leaving? I think it was when
Magic Kingdom.
they closed down Splash Mountain. We ended up leaving early, and then the rain started, and it was so bad getting into the DVC Beach Club villas that the puddle was up to past your ankle.
Ooh.
We saw cast members walking around without any shoes, and I wish I had known that. We shoes were just soaked. It was more rain at one time than I'd ever seen. And weren't there pictures of people in the studios swimming?
the great Epcot flood. I mean, I think that the water was about 4 inches high.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Just
crazy
the
stuff.
Drains weren't working.
It's fine. I just love it there because it's so close to everything. And
Yeah, I guess it,
It's like
it is.
you-
I was wondering because when you go to the regular hotel, you weren't getting your room cleaned that often, and you weren't
oh,
getting towels.
good point. Yeah, that
So
was
for
that
you,
was
it
a
doesn't
pain.
matter. It doesn't matter.
No, it does. It does matter because we had to call and ask for towels. We had to call and ask for. They only gave us one bottle of shampoo, one bottle of conditioner. We had to call for that. No cleaning. So, you're just doing your regular thing. And I would have vacuumed my house more often, than this was vacuumed. So, the sink was gross. Yeah. They didn't even come in for their regular one-time cleaning that they're supposed to do. So,
yeah. So, so on average, magical, tragical, the hotel?
Say magical.
Yeah.
Definitely magical
I love it
because
there. I do.
the location, we're comfortable.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah, we got to see our friend who works for Disney Weddings, kind of facilitating a wedding. So there was a couple out on the beach and kind of out in front of everybody, but
Yeah. No, it's all good. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I just felt like we were staying at a deluxe when we went, and we're not getting that money's worth when we were there. But that's, we didn't have to stay there if we didn't want to. It just, but you sort of expected stuff like that. So
I will say that the room was ready early. That I tried the, which I've never done before. I don't really like having a magic band, so I try to use my watch, but I used the phone to open the door. It worked beautifully. So
Well.
room was clean.
all right.
I mean, to start with.
I know I'm trying to debate if I should go right to the Magic Kingdom or discuss a couple more general things, which is sort of the dining and the online food ordering system, and your thoughts on that. Because in the past, I never used to do the online ordering stuff, even when it first came out. But I found myself on our past trip using it a lot more often, and I wanted to know what you guys thought about it.
I don't think we used it this time around. Did we use it once last summer? Maybe. No. It's tough to comment when we.
Oh, I think we did do it at Pizza Planet or whatever that place is called. That was horrible.
Yeah.
I'm never doing that again.
Yeah, I will
But-
say, because we used that online ordering system, and it saved so much time and effort.
Right.
You would Cosmic Rays, you would just order it and then let them know when you're nearby, and they start making it, and boom, we walk in, you grab it, and you walk away, or you go sit down, and for us, it was great.
We find that we usually do just a one meal a day type of thing. We kind of, get a reservation and do a nice one meal, and then maybe just have some
snacks. And stuff.
little snacks.
Yeah.
So I'd rather sit down, take a load off, and enjoy nice food. And
Yeah.
we don't do fast food too much down there.
Yeah. It's more, as we're going, the boys are just like, oh, I need something.
Oh yeah.
And it doesn't necessarily mean we're eating a full meal. We can just order some fries or some chicken nuggets and then you keep going. But why don't we?
Oh, you can't do that anymore.
Oh, that was the other thing. I guess, we love the Yacht and Beach Club, and one of my favorites was the Cruise Cup. And we were kind of disappointed the last few times we've gone there because they have a menu from the Yachtsman Steakhouse, and it doesn't feel like it's the way it used to be. My wife lamented that it's not like a place you can go and just have something quick, have a glass of wine or a beer or something like that, and just unwind after a long day. Now it's like it's a full-on dining restaurant.
The menu we had, they did have a few. They had truffle fries. I remember.
That was it. That was the only thing.
Yeah.
And it's just the Yachtsman menu, maybe a small version. When we got there, you couldn't even order anything because anything that you could cook was down by the time we left. The menu was open again, but everybody around us was ordering steaks, so not a lot for vegetarians. And I agree with Audra. There was not, aside from truffle fries, you could order a glass of wine or something like that, but there's not. We had eaten, I think, at like 2:00 and just wanted something to munch on, and there just wasn't anything there.
Yeah,
so it's kind of sad.
Yeah, that was like the old little local pub you would go to just for a quick snack and a drink and maybe watch a game if it was going on or whatever you were doing. But so yeah, I find that one tragical. I'm devastated by that one. That one and just hearing recently that the Boardwalk is losing the Boardwalk Bakery, ESPN. They're adding a couple of new things, but those were sort of our standard go-bys. Like, if we were coming home late from Epcot, the boys would always go to Boardwalk Bakery and grab something to munch on, and we won't have that anymore. I know they're going to have other things in place, but, you sort of miss the old-time stuff. So we miss Cruise Cup. But, all right, let's move over to the Magic Kingdom, like I said. Mike, did you find any parts of the park busier than others? I mean, they're all busy, but...
Yeah, it's interesting you asked that, Chris, because Michelle and I talked about this, and I observed that the Fantasyland area of the Magic Kingdom seemed to fill up much quicker than the other lands, and I think the reason for that is because, let's face it, there are more attractions in Fantasyland than any other area of the park. And the other thing is that Fantasyland is right around the corner from Haunted Mansions. So that area of the park just seems to fill up much faster, is my opinion.
Yeah, but I was on the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and when I couldn't get on, I was running over to Haunted Mansion, and they hadn't opened Liberty Square yet. It was blocked off. You couldn't get in there.
Right,
so.
but you just supported what I said. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train is in Fantasyland.
No, I know, but then you can't go to. They don't open all the different
I see
areas.
What you're saying. Yeah, you're right. I remember that morning. You're right, Michelle. So, and maybe that's why it fills up first, because they open up that area because it does have so many attractions that they figure the first swell of the crowd can get over there. So when they do open Adventureland, Frontierland, Tomorrowland. Well, Tomorrowland, I guess, was open too, I think. Yeah, it was one of those days, Chris, where we weren't sure when the park opened. No matter what we were told, it was always like another half an hour and earlier and stuff. But I really think that Fantasyland is probably the go-to once the rope drops.
And speaking of Fantasyland, is it true that PhilharMagic has changed a bit?
Oh yeah, they added a scene from Coco.
Really?
So you remember that the whole premise behind PhilharMagic is that Donald is chasing after Mickey's sorcerer's hat, and so they have implemented a new scene where Donald is running through Coco, and the characters are there, and they sing Poco Loco, which is my favorite song from that movie. Yeah, it's really, really well done. And a cast member friend was telling us they actually rehabbed or redigitalized the whole film, so the 3D effects seem to be a lot sharper for the whole film.
And Michelle, I Chris, one of the things that strikes me is that the addition of the Coco scene, and I don't know if it's a scene from the movie more so than it's just.
No, it's a made-up scene. It's just the
but
same characters.
There is a startling contrast between that segment of the PhilharMagic film than everything else. There's just so much color. There's so much livelihood going on. It seems like everything else pales in comparison to that
literally
scene. Definitely a home run for that attraction.
Oh, good. Well, that's nice to think because most people kind of skip by it, so it's nice to see they changed it. We talked about how long the lines were, including like the People Mover, which is one of my favorites. It was a place to go relax, but you said it was a little bit longer.
Never got on it.
Yeah, you didn't get we didn't get a chance to go on it either. Did you guys see Enchantment?
Yeah, that was one of the nights when the rains were coming. So it had started to rain really hard, and that was the time we planned to do that. And just, I don't know if you find this when you stay at the Beach and Yacht Club. I tend to want to be in Epcot at night because it's just so easy to be there and, walk around and then go back to the resort. So, Mike likes to take, I have to say, I sort of verbalized it for the first time. Mike likes to take a bus to the Magic Kingdom. I hate the buses. I hate being on the buses. I think just, being there with kids and strollers and things like that kind of made it.
It's a nightmare sometimes.
It is a nightmare. And I get it because you get dropped off right in the front. But so I avoided going because of the buses too. That's why I have to stay at Bay Lake Tower.
No, look, we do it once in a while, but I found sometimes I get so annoyed I just get a car service, just take us from the hotel over there. It's so much easier. And the confectionery store doing well. I'm trying to remember if it was the last time I was there or over the summer it was closed and then reopened.
Yeah, I think it might have been closed in January, Chris. I'm not sure, but they expanded it. I forget the name of the chateau. I forget what it was called. Chapeau, whatever. So
the hats, please.
I would say that they doubled the size of it, and there are all kinds of things going on in there, and it's a really good test of your willpower to walk through that confectionery store.
And now they have like maple popcorn and different flavors of popcorn.
Oh, you can make it.
Chocolate.
Custom made candy popcorn, whatever you want.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I have to go back down there and do that. Of all the attractions, which did you guys think were the most popular? I would assume in crowds.
Seven Dwarfs.
Yeah, everybody wanted to do that one.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Still crazy.
And then what about the mountains? They still popular?
Well, Splash was closed. I never got on Space Mountain. Couldn't even get on. It was just such a
lines didn't seem that long for Space Mountain for some reason.
Oh,
that was strange.
They were like at least 60-minute waits every time we walked by.
Yeah, same here.
Yep. Yeah, Big Thunder.
All in all, even though you couldn't get on many rides, Magical Magic Kingdom.
Oh wow.
It's tough, right? Because you have to factor in you couldn't get on anything.
Well, one thing we forgot to say was I thought the castle looked spectacular. The 50th anniversary decorations.
Oh, yes. True.
So I would say for just that, it's magical walking down Main Street and seeing that. That was neat.
To me, I have to say it's an incomplete. I really would have to see Enchantment. Also, we while we were there, the new Festival of Fantasy parade, that's what it's called, the afternoon parade began, but we didn't go see that. So I think I'd need to see Enchantment, the parade, and a few other things before I would pass judgment. But I'm kind of leaning towards magical.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's speaking of, we were talking about spending late nights at Epcot. Let's go over there. I think Flower and Garden is in bloom in the parks. Did it seem nice? Did you enjoy it?
I always love Flower and Garden. It to me, it was a gigantic meh. It just seemed to be, I don't know, not even half of what it used to be. The topiaries are great. It just seemed like the whole park was decorated top to bottom before, and it just didn't seem as.
Yeah, and this is one of those areas, Chris, where anyone who has been to the Flower and Garden Festival in the past, you begin to compare. and there just seemed to there was like it's like they just took a step back. The topiaries just didn't seem great. There was no really feeling it was spring. Maybe it's because it was the first week. So, but it just didn't seem right. When you walk into Epcot, usually you were greeted by a really nice topiary display. I also think that part of the problem, Michelle, and I don't think I've mentioned this to you, is that there are this construction right behind Spaceship Earth, and usually there's a lot of topiary stuff going on there, and it's not there, so you don't really feel the topiaries until you get towards World Showcase, and even then, some of them are tucked away, and they should be more prominently displayed. So it was kind of a not so memorable Flower and Garden Festival experience for us.
What about the new creation shop?
I felt like I was walking into Macy's at the mall.
Right.
I found Mouse Gear to be charming. I know maybe the flow wasn't great, but this seems like Mike noticed that maybe another half of it was going to be added.
That's the cafe, I think. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it just seems very open and bright, but I feel like I'm at the mall. I feel like I'm at Target or something like that. It didn't feel there wasn't a lot of theming. I don't know. I didn't buy anything there, but I don't usually buy stuff there.
It seemed like there was less merchandise in that shop than Mouse Gear had too, for some reason.
I don't know about that. Let me tell you what was a big hit though is the whatever it's called, the Shimmering Lights on Spaceship Earth.
Beacons of Magic.
Oh my gosh, was that amazing. Did you get to see that, Chris, in January?
We did. I loved it. I thought it was one of the best things. I was unexpected. We were walking up from, and this is the next probably subject, is we had to go around the walls to get around to the other side.
Oh, right.
And as we were coming around the corner from the seas, we came around and boom, it just had started up. So it was a really wonderful experience. And like I said, it was a surprising thing to kind of I didn't realize they were doing that. And then, so it was a really wonderful experience.
We saw Colors of the Wind. We saw it. One night we just had some time on our hands and realized it was the last night we hadn't been on a monorail. So we took a monorail over to Magic Kingdom, did the Magic Kingdom loop, and then came back and got to see Spaceship Earth from the monorail. That was really cool. But I was saying to Mike, I don't remember ever just sitting there and looking at Spaceship Earth, and there were just dozens and dozens of people watching whatever the choreography was. And I know they had done Rainbow Connection. Didn't see that, but what a nice addition. I just think really
finally we saw some plussing going on here that made the experience so much better, which is like that's the welcome part of this. That's like that's the A+ part.
And you know, Chris, this may sound crazy to some people, but the fact that, and I'm assuming that they're going with all the expense and effort they did to put those shimmering lights in there, I'm assuming it's going to stay after the 50th is over, but that experience makes me almost want to do whatever I can to be down there at Christmas to see what they do with that, because as much as it's nice to see it on YouTube, sitting underneath that huge geosphere and seeing all those lights and listening to the music, they have a new sound system down, really makes me want to go down in Christmas time. Maybe
it was beautiful. Yeah, when I was on the monorail, I don't know if I was going backwards, but I saw somebody's reaction to it. Their face just lit up and they said, "Oh my gosh, look at Spaceship Earth." And you could see it from far away because, those LEDs, and it was great.
Now it's awesome.
So I have to tell you about something that was it was our first dining experience, and it was tragical. Want to try all the new restaurants, but oh my gosh, the Creperie right near Ratatouille. Did you go?
We were talking about it, and for some reason, I think the crowds are so crazy, or we went early before the park opened, so the Creperie wasn't open, so we never circled back to go over there.
Well, we had reservations, and we got there. It was like 1/3 full, but it was. I had a savory crepe. Mike had a savory crepe. We split a dessert crepe. Mike had a lemonade. in a salad, and I had nothing to drink except for water. $62.
Yeah. Oof.
And I have no money. Again, throwing money at the problem. If it's delicious, give me a $62 cheese plate, and I'm a happy girl. But this was their buckwheat crepes, which are just odd, and it was just. We felt really rushed. We sat down and they said, what do you want to order? Oh, you have to order your dessert now. And it's like, we didn't really know if we wanted dessert, but we sort of felt pressured to order it. It was fine. It was, it tasted like fast food. There wasn't anything special about the inside. It didn't make you feel like you were in Paris. It is a big tragical for me.
Well, the thing is that, and this is the afterthought, I mentioned it to Michelle when we were leaving. I said, gee, you think it would have been more? You've got the most popular, the hottest attraction in Epcot right next door. So there's going to be a lot of people coming by. You would think that this place would be full, yet 1/3 of the tables were filled. That's not a good thing for that restaurant. That is a bad sign for the restaurant. That's only been open for a month or so, maybe a few months. Yeah. So I don't have much faith that this thing is going to last. And one of the thoughts I had was that maybe what they should have done is they should have taken that sort of restaurant area in the back of the France Pavilion and moved that next to Ratatouille, and then maybe make that place some kind of a dessert place. I don't know, but
the thing that got me excited about it is when I was visiting my friend in Denver, she took me to a creperie, and it was a hot place. I mean, there are like 50 different types of crepes that you could buy, savory and sweet crepes. It was fantastic. Like when I went back, I said, can we go to that place again? So that was my expectation, that it would just be you can do anything with a crepe. You can make it anything, right?
Yeah,
it's a crepe. So
it's a French calzone.
Well, it's a it's a pancake. It's a thin pancake, but
thin pancake wrapped around stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well, speaking of which, while you were over there, what did you think of Remy's Ratatouille adventure?
Should I go?
You go.
Okay.
First.
Oh boy.
I liked it. I think it's cute. I think it's a version of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that's watered down. It is not. It's got some cute little props. It's got the same sort of magnetic cars. And I talked to a cast member friend of mine who knows a lot about technology. Didn't say anything, and I said, what do you think? He said, I think it's. He said, I don't think they use all the technology that they use in Mickey and Minnie. So it's cute. It's fine. Would I wait 180 minutes for it? No, but probably the longest I'd wait for an attraction is Mickey and Minnie's right now. But Mike, what did you think?
Well, there's a Shakespearean comedy, Much Ado About Nothing, and I kind of think about this Ratatouille attraction. I think that one of the things I'm always assuming is that the next big attraction should have with it all the other technologies that all the other attractions have been able to use, and it being plussed up so that you come up with a better idea of how to use each of the technologies or a combination of those technologies to make this a very unique experience. It's like you said, Michelle, and I think that was a very good description. It's a watered down version of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. I would say it's maybe 10 to 15% as good as Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It's just, a lot of video and the vehicles, going here and there. The theming was so. I just, I don't know. I would predict that within a year that the lines are not going to be as long as they are now. They may be about half as long as they are, because I think a lot of people are going to say, well, it's a nice ride, but
it's cute. I would do it again. I love the idea of expanding Epcot with new attractions. I wish they'd do it in other places too.
Is it magic or tragic? I know, right? See, for me, it was sort of like I like the ride. It's a great ride if you're waiting like 25 minutes to get on it. It's not a great ride if you're waiting an hour and a half.
Right. Exactly. It's cute.
2 hours.
It's definitely cute. I love the magnetic cars and I think
the oversized props and stuff.
It's a nice family. It's like everybody can get something out of it.
Yeah.
It wasn't tragic. It just wasn't. It didn't. Mickey and Minnie's blows my socks off. So.
Well, we're the snooty, frequent visitors. So I think someone visiting Epcot for the first time is going to love it. They're gonna.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those you have to go do it. But one of the other, finally, the last thing for Epcot is the big new. I don't want to call it fireworks. It's not just fireworks. Light show is Harmonious. I got to see it a couple times when I was there. This is your first time seeing it in person. So, Michelle, was it like living up to the expectations you had seeing it online?
It was so negative. It was okay.
Yeah.
I like some of the music. I like that they are singing in different languages.
Mm-hmm.
I do more in the, the World Showcase Lagoon. It looks like, looks like Wally's World in there with all the different stuff that's in there. It's fine. I don't know. It was fine. I don't really have much to say about it. I do think that it's very hard. I think one of the things that I would wish that they would do to kind of plus it a little bit is to make the focus point not close to the water, but more up in the sky, because I think it prevents a lot of people from seeing it. And I am not somebody who's going to wait a half an hour or 45 minutes in a spot. That's just not me.
Everybody was doing it.
There were a lot of people doing it. So that means that those people are the ones who can see what's happening. If you're like me and you're 3 deep, you can see it when the fireworks goes up. But it was difficult
really
to
see
see
the lights and the water effects.
Yeah. And it seemed to be focused. Well, Mike, I think you're going to talk about this. It seemed to be focused not 360, but just in certain places that it was like the front of the presentation.
Yeah, Michelle makes a great point by saying, there's more stuff going on in the water than above the water. And for the children who are not, 6 feet tall at the age of 12 or 13, they're not going to see much of the Stargate taco displays. So that's an issue. When we were in Epcot our last night, we were walking around and we noticed that the crowd was gathered near it's called the World Showcase Plaza, which is between the 2 stores. It's between what used to be called Futureland and World Showcase, and in the American Adventure, maybe a little bit in Japan, and maybe a little bit in Italy, and maybe a little bit in Canada. We watched it from sort of Canada, but more so close to, like, almost directly across from the American Adventure. But as we were walking around World Showcase, we noticed that places like Norway, Mexico, certain point, Mexico, Norway, China, that little African area, and then you get to maybe Germany, and it's like something's going on. Where is everybody? And also in Canada and the bridge, it's very, very. It's so obvious that you miss so much because you aren't looking at the Stargate head on. But again, I also say that if there is someone who has never seen Illuminations and is going to Epcot for the first time, this is something that they have never seen. There's a lot of lights. There's a lot of music. I do think that the music selections could have been better and arranged differently. But for a lot of people, it's going to be really, really good. I have never recalled walking out of Epcot when Illuminations has started for the last 20, 25 years. We walked out and I didn't care. So to me, it's tragical.
Yeah. I like I said, I think it's a dumbed down version of a light show for family. Like I said, the parents with their little kids, they were all dancing around to the music. It was the greatest hits of the last batch of movies, but it wasn't inspiring and moving. So I'm with you. Michelle, was it magical or tragical for you? You seem indifferent. It wasn't even magic or tragic. It was just, who cares?
Well, we had a chance to see it maybe 4 more times times. And the last night we were there, we just started in China, and we just said, let's just walk and see where we end up. And we didn't even stop our moving to focus on the show. We just, our thought was, let's get out of here through International Gateway before the crowd start. So that's like the second time we saw it. It didn't even, I don't know.
Well, you know, we talked about in the past how there is no story here, like Illuminations had a story. But one of the things I noticed was that prior to the show beginning, we do hear over the PA system that it's a celebration of Disney music. Mm-hmm. So they're admitting there is no story. They're just saying we're gonna take some music, we're gonna play another version of these songs, and we're gonna try to piecemeal them with the fireworks. And I don't think, Michelle, do you remember, was it the first third of the show hardly had any fireworks, and then more fireworks?
Yeah, the first third of the show doesn't.
Yeah. So, and then on the way out, how bad was the Skyway? I didn't notice it was as bad as it used to be late at night, but a lot of people do like to use the Skyway now.
Yeah, I think maybe we should talk about that more next time, but it wasn't down to Beach Club, which it was last summer. When people left, it didn't seem like it was like, you know, like New Year's Eve type of packed. Right. People were much more casual about it, but
it took us longer to get there too. We were hanging on the right side. So
Yeah, I will say one last thing about Harmonious, which is I wish, and Chris, you might agree with this since you spend your time at Yacht Club, I wish that they would pipe the music into the International Gateway and on that bridge between Boardwalk and Beach Club.
Agreed.
Because there are a lot of people there, and it would be nice, and even maybe in the resort common areas, because you know, I just remember having young kids and not being able to go to Illuminations and being on that bridge and hearing some of the music. But I don't think everybody needs to be, you know, up close. Yeah. So it'd be nice if they piped it in.
Yeah, especially kids who have sensory issues. Yeah. They don't want to be that close to the fireworks. You have them out there. It'd be a nice little addition, you know, for those people. So
even on the Skyway, you know.
Yeah, fun. So, all right. So, give me what are your thoughts about Epcot? Is it magic or tragic? In general,
we didn't even talk about the food kiosks. Those are tragic.
We'll get to the food next show.
Yeah. You know, I was happy to be there. I was just happy to be there. I did a single rider on Test Track with a little 5-year-old boy who'd never done it before with his grandma. That was adorable. It's fine.
Yeah. Mike, magic, tragic, indifferent?
Spaceship Earth was awesome.
I think that the big issue with me were the walls that are still up.
Yeah.
We don't know if they are. I thought they were going to do something called the Moana experience behind Spaceship Earth. I think once the walls come down, then I'll be able to pass judgment. But right now, it's another, you know, incomplete for me right now.
Yeah. I will say Soarin' has much shorter lines than it used to have. So that was just my observation. So, but all right. So I think for the next episode, we'll do the Hollywood Studios and Animal Kingdom magic or tragic. So it's going to wrap up for this episode of Mickey Mouse and More. If you want to reach out to us, send a message on Twitter at Mickey Mouse Pod. For Dr. Michelle Scribner McLean, Mike Scopa, I'm Chris Eliopoulos. We'll see you on the road and in the parks.
We hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode of the Mickey Miles and More podcast. For all of us here at the Mickey Miles and More podcast, this is Rick Gray saying thanks for listening and all your support. And until next time, we'll see you on the road.